I am T'Challa, son of T'Chaka.
Rise up, Panther, feel the roar. Through the storm, you'll soar once more. In the night, his fury shines. Black Panther, the hero divine. And worthy will we ride.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be talking about the newly buffed Black Panther Civil War. So, this was such an interesting buff because I really loved Black Panther as a character, especially after watching the movie back then. And this version of the Black Panther was my favorite one out of the two that are available in the game. I mean, just look at this guy. He looks like he came straight out of the movie, but when I started playing him, just like everyone else, he was bad. But now he's back, and he came better than ever. So without wasting any time, let's see what changed after the buff. So before I start, I will be breaking this video into 4 sections. So first, we will look what changed after the buff. Then we will see his basic rotation, then a quick damage showcase, and we will see how big of a threat is he on defense. So, what changed? For that, we will be comparing his abilities before and after the buff. So let's start with the signature abilities. So as you can see, before the buff, if your Black Panther was awakened, you enter the fight with his reflective state active. Also, if your opponent uses a heavy attack, you will go unstoppable by consuming an armor up effect. So this is what it used to be before the buff, but after the buff they removed the first part from his signature ability and added to his base kit. And now, if your Black Panther is awakened, he starts the fight with a certain amount of reflect charge based on sig level. Not only that, now he benefits from a certain amount of physical resistance. Also, they kept the part where you go unstoppable when your opponent throws a heavy attack, but instead of consuming an armor up effect, now you need to have 10 reflect charges. So, to answer the biggest question, whether you need to awaken the champion, yes you need to, because you'll clearly see a difference between awakened and unawakened on attack. Now let's see what changed in special attacks. So, before the buff, there was pretty much nothing going on when you used to throw the special attacks. The only thing the special one used to do is that you inflict a bleed debuff on your opponent. Also, SP2 used to increase your attack based on the amount of health you lost. And finally, SP3 used to inflict a stun. So this was basically it before the buff. So, as you can see, there's a big change after the buff. So now, when you throw a SP1, beside inflicting a bleed debuff, you also gain 4 cleanse passives and 4 reflect charges on your blocked or landed hit. Also, when you throw your SP2, each hit inflict a bleed debuff, dealing direct damage over 7 seconds. Also, their potency is increased by 10% for each reflect charge. So, one of the important things that you have to notice is that you are dealing direct damage. Not energy, not physical, but direct damage. The thing with direct damage is that up until now, there's nothing in the game that can resist a direct damage. So that's a nice thing to have. And with SP3, you can refresh or activate the reflective matrix and pause it for 20 seconds. And you also gain 10 reflect charges. Now, let's see what are the core abilities that change. So before, as you can see when he's attacked, he has 60% chance to gain an armor up buff for 7.5 seconds. And each time Black Panther gains an armor up effect, he has a percentage of chance per sig level to enter a reflective state for a certain amount of time, storing percent of the damage taken. And for a certain amount of damage stored, Black Panther gains a reflect charge. When successfully hitting the opponent, Black Panther consumes all charges to deal the equivalent damage back to the opponent. Also, when he is stunned, he consumes 1 armor up buff and reflect the stun back to the opponent. So as you can see, he used to be a pretty good defender even before the buff. Now let's see what changed after the buff. Now he has a new ability called Reflective Matrix, and Black Panther starts each fight with Reflective Matrix increasing his critical resistance for 10 seconds. Also, Reflective Matrix is paused during the opponent's special attacks, and while Reflective Matrix is active, Black Panther gains certain amount of block penetration when striking into blocks that are not well timed. When Black Panther is inflicted with a stun while making contact with the opponent, he now consumes his Reflective Matrix to purify the stun. Then, if he is not passively stunned and the opponent is not performing a special attack, he inflicts a stun debuff on the opponent for 2.5 seconds. When Reflective Matrix ends, it goes on cooldown for 10 seconds, after which it reactivates the next time Black Panther is struck or blocks an attack. The cooldown is decreased by up to 50% based on missing health. Let's talk about Black Panther's reflect charges and how they work. So, when Reflective Matrix is active, Black Panther can gain and refresh up to 75 reflect charges. These last for 12 seconds and it is paused during special attacks. If you want to refresh them, you can dodge back after landing a non-combo ending attack. So let's see how you can gain these charges. So for every certain amount of health lost from being hit or blocking, he gains 1 charge. Performing a well-timed block grants 3 charges, and if it's a special attack or if Black Panther is defending, he gets 5 extra charges. This has a 0.15 second cooldown, and as an attacker, Reflective Matrix pauses for 10 seconds when gaining a reflect charge, and it is reduced by 0.2 seconds for every active charge. Now, let's talk about unleashing reflect charges with kinetic bursts. Black Panther can release stored reflect charges as a kinetic burst, dealing direct damage for each charge. This damage scales with his base health, but it is reduced by 20% against mutant champions. As a defender, kinetic bursts trigger whenever Black Panther strikes the opponent with reflect charges active, and on offense, the final hit of Special Attack 2 triggers a kinetic burst. Additionally, every hit of a heavy attack or a special attack activated during a heavy attack deals a kinetic burst. After any attack that triggers kinetic bursts, all charges are removed, and the Reflective Matrix is consumed if active. This also reduces its cooldown by up to 50%, depending on its remaining duration. So up until now, we were looking into what changed after the buff. Now let's quickly look at the damage rotation. So, the damage rotation is pretty simple for Black Panther. All you have to do is parry the opponent to gain reflect charges. Now, remember that you can stack up to 75 charges depending on the fight. After building up the charges, build up to 2 bars of power and heavy cancel to your special 2. So this is what you have to do to get the max damage. Now let's see that in action. Now, even though his rotation looks simple, you do need some skill to play with his kit. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because the way you build up is by parrying the opponent, but you can gain double the amount of charge if you can parry the opponent's special. So, this is where the skill aspect comes. So if you can do that, you are good to go. So how strong is Black Panther on defense? So I don't think I can say that he comes any close to Bullseye, but he definitely has some defensive abilities that makes him a pretty good defender. For example, he has damage reflect and stun reflect. Additionally, if you try to do a heavy attack when he has 10 plus reflect charges, he goes unstoppable. Also, he can purify debuffs on his SP1. So yeah, I think he's a pretty good defender.